Welcome to Matrix Talk. We are here on July the 26th,
Yes.
2023. For those listening much later on
In the future.
in the future, it happens, folks. But in the meantime, we're here, and Jasmine's on with us. Oh, wow. And
Welcome, Jess. A couple other people coming on too, it looks like.
going on. Yeah, it looks like it.
Oh,
I thought, if it,
I
don't know.
I would say iPhone is on.
Oh, well.
Maybe they'll let us know if we're saying that right.
Who knows?
Oh yeah, so chat in, folks. Let us know where you're from. We have
Let us know where you're from over in the lower right.
Where
Somewhere
you
in
guys
the
from?
upper right, you can probably follow us and find out when we have these. And don't forget to click the box below, the green box, and you can sign up for CEUs.
Today.
Today, yes, Introductory Act for Anxiety and Depression.
It started today, actually.
Couples and groups. Oh, yeah. Right away. It's all.
It's on demand. You come and go as you want. Stop it, start it, go back over it. It's there. You have it forever once you purchased it.
Oh, hello from Montreal. Great.
Hey, Richard.
So, yes, good thing to do. And so that's what our screen to one side of Phil and I is showing you the picture of the courses that you'll see if you click on the green button. And
yep.
You'll be taken over there. And that really helps us out for people to sign up and do those. And we're still working on the next course, but we got into a lot of summer activities.
Yes. And I think a lot of other people out there are into a lot of summer activities too.
There's a lot of that going on. Yep. Oh, 102. Oh, well, we might have today. We're talking about active mindfulness. And we're going to pretty well have a discussion about active mindfulness. So we'll tell you how we go about doing it.
Yep.
For the most part. When do you want to start? 103.
I think it's time to start.
So there we're good. Okay. So I'm going to unshare.
Because we have people that are here, so.
Stop sharing. There we go. And there we are. Yay. Filling all of this.
It just got bigger.
So why do we say active mindfulness?
Thanks, James. James loves our shirts.
Oh. There you go.
Yeah. Talk about taking it with you. We are big fans of taking it with us.
All we got to do is look in a window.
Yeah.
I mean, in a window, storefront window or a mirror or something, and we see our.
There they are.
There they are. So.
Oh, good for you.
Too. Wow.
Hey, wow, buddy, yeah, nice creativity.
Somehow they can order them here.
Yeah, I used to be able to do that. We'll have to figure out how to do that again.
Well, ask Shannon.
Yeah.
Get that online again. Oh, active mindfulness.
Why did we decide to do active mindfulness today, Kevin? We were just talking about this last week.
Yeah, well, we were talking about it last week and we scheduled it.
So but it also pops up like all the time. The mindfulness stuff just keeps popping up.
I guess it pops up in part when people say mindfulness. Right. And we know this from going to lots of ACT conferences, okay? And they start off with sitting mindfulness, essentially.
Yes.
Put your butt in a chair, put your feet flat on the floor. And
put your stuff away.
All that.
Get relaxed.
And that would be called inactive mindfulness.
We term that inactive.
Inactive. And what you're hoping for from an ACT point of view is that transfers over into your day-to-day life, your walking life, your active life. So the sitting translates over to the walking. Maybe it does, but you would have to do a whole bunch of it.
Yes.
In order to get it to transfer. Here's the other problem. We like active mindfulness because for the clientele that Phil and I worked with throughout our careers, it wasn't even a third of the people we worked with that would do mindfulness for a week.
Yeah, they were not an inactively mindful crowd.
Right. And after the week was up, it wasn't even a third anymore.
Yeah.
I mean,
dropping out, not showing up,
almost
not wanting to do it.
Almost to none. And really, folks. Yeah. And so our thing was always, that's not a good idea.
No.
To be trying, but essentially you end up in the position of trying to convince people, to cajole people.
Right. Yeah. Talk them into it.
Talk them into it. Whatever you want to say of practicing mindfulness, or name it. It doesn't matter. 5, 10, 15, 20. The 5 doesn't work either.
Yeah.
So don't worry. And if you're new to the business, that's fine. You can learn it on your own.
Go right ahead. It's good stuff.
But Phil and I learned through, both of us, over 30 years in the business. No, it doesn't.
It wasn't working.
No, it doesn't. And so even in the one that I think of the most is Get Out of Your Mind and Into Your Life. And self-help book by Steve Hayes.
Yeah.
And even in that, when they discuss mindfulness, they discuss the importance of active mindfulness. Moving around mindfulness. So anybody who may have heard of, is it Thich Nhat Hanh?
Thich Nhat Hanh.
He had a walking meditation.
Yes.
And that would be more akin to it.
Closer.
It's not there, but it's a lot closer than sitting.
Yeah.
So, matter of fact, a whole lot closer than sitting. And if you get somebody to combine that with, like, let's say, taking a walk, and quite a few people like to go take a walk. They just...
something everybody can do.
They can do it, and you'll have a good portion of the folks you work with who do that. They go ahead and do it. Well, then you can combine up the mindful stuff with the walk, and they're much more likely to do it. So there you go. Now you've got that. You're still missing a whole lot of folks.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we haven't roped them all in yet. We're getting
as optimistic as I sounded with that.
Yeah, right. No,
forget about it.
No, they might do that once.
It's more, but it's not. It's really not engaging.
Yeah, it's not engaging, and it doesn't stay with them.
No. And so now you're looking for something that will trigger, turn on, activate mindful activities in the moment while you're doing something.
Yeah.
And you want it to show up. Mindfulness to show up while you're doing something. That's ACT. That's what they're going for with ACT. And say, well, what would you pay attention to? Or what do you mean? Well, that means that you're suddenly, and the easiest thing is to notice your 5 senses.
Wherever you're at.
Top of the matrix has 5 senses, okay? You might notice what's going on in your mind.
Down here.
And you will please notice that I just used the word notice a lot. Notice, notice, notice. I said you might notice your senses. You might notice your mind. So us and many, many, many other ACT practitioners took on that word notice in the English language, that notice. And that notice is a more distant view of from the self. It's towards self as context, is what it's getting at. So you're getting a little bit of distance from the self, and that's mindful. That's where you're mindful. You can take it a step further and notice, gee, what I'm doing now, what does it feel like? Does it feel like relief or does it feel like satisfaction? Okay. And they said, well, Kevin, you just said the matrix. Well, yeah, because the matrix was created as a walking around active mindfulness tool. So yeah, that is how we do it. And so a couple of tricks, really, and just to make it quick. Phil's playing with the matrix here. So now you have these elements. So here's the two that I use. Phil can then tell you what he uses.
Okay.
One, I'll be going along and I'll remember to notice my 5 senses. Boom.
Yep.
Now, when that happens, because I've done the matrix of, let's say, a couple of dozen times, thousands of times, that means now I'm thinking of what's going on, or I'm noticing what's going on in my mind, and I'm noticing right now this behavior I'm doing is it's in the service of relief or satisfaction. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, that's one. And two is like I get sort of exasperated. I don't know. I don't know if anybody else ever feels exasperated. I don't know. Somebody can chat in and say whether you have ever encountered or had
exasperation ever
show up. No, nobody has. Apparently, they're exasperation free. Are you guys exasperation free? Jasmine is exasperation free. Everybody, wow, it's amazing. It could be something else, but whatever it is, you get sort of into the weeds, and I will literally think, who's important to me?
Yep. Oh, there you go. Definitely never exasperated. Well, there you go. James has got it.
And so those are my 2 inroads.
Yeah.
Okay. Notice the 5 senses, and then things fall in. Notice who's important to me. The rest of the matrix falls in. And when you're doing that, now you're noticing, and you're noticing these elements of you. And now, and you're noticing, you didn't stop in your tracks.
Nope.
You kept going. Richard confesses. You're moving, and you're noticing all this stuff.
Yes.
Bingo. That's it.
Yep.
And so part of the reason for coming up with the diagram in the first place was that alternative to mindfulness that almost everyone will do once a week or so, just because they'll remember it on the fly.
Yes.
That's it. And we're not expecting anything more.
Nope.
It
shows up. If it doesn't, that's okay too.
Right. And we're not assigning it as homework.
Nope.
Oh, no. And why would we assign it as homework? Because that would violate the non-hierarchical structure of ACT.
And
which is you really strive to keep on a level playing field with somebody. So if I assign homework, I go up here. I become teacher. I assign homework.
Yep.
And while somebody might say, well, that's necessary, I guarantee you, you're going down a path it's not going to work out.
Not going to work out.
Not for act. Why? Okay, so let's right here. Let's stop with this because this is really important stuff, folks. Because a lot of people they say, "Oh, that act is about mindfulness, and that act is about value," and won't even talk about diffusion, but
Yeah.
it's mindfulness and values. And pretty soon they're assigning mindfulness homework and they're assigning values homework. Why do I know this? Because I've seen it a whole bunch of times. And
oh man, more times than I can count.
Right. Well, now you've gone up. Well, once you get into that hierarchical thing, I'm above this other person. I'm assigning homework. And then, of course, you're applying clients, so they're either going to do the homework or not do the homework.
Yep.
So what do you do if they don't do the homework? We used to just say you can do it or not do it. By the way, works fine, which is okay until we discovered that just not even assigning it in the first place.
It's probably, just saves you a whole lot of time and
just all that time.
Exasperation, let's put it that way.
Right, it just saves you all of that. And so why are we doing that? Drum roll, folks, for the therapeutic relationship. That's why. Probably the strongest variable that goes across all coaching and therapy and whatever you do.
Yep.
Tiddlywink therapy. I don't know what.
Doesn't matter.
But doesn't matter. What it comes back to is people say, I have a good therapeutic relationship, rapport. We're working toward the same goals. We're
on the same page.
We're on the same page. That kind of language is the kind of language you want showing up regardless of the therapy.
Right. Yep.
And by the way, that can be accomplished with any therapy. We just happen to use ACT, and we like it and we enjoy it in the ACT matrix. But this way we can pay very close attention to maintaining that equal. We're in the same boat, pulling on different oars.
Right. Or I like to say we're all swimming in the same soup.
Right. It's whatever
way you want
to put it. Your work but it is that collaborative. We're working together to get to. Well, come on, let's face it. If they're coming in to see you, they're looking to get to a better place.
They're at point A and they want to get to point B.
All right, they don't want to go backwards.
No.
No. I want to go off the wagon. No.
Yep.
That's not what they want to do. So back to it. So that's why we're so careful about it, because you can really mess up the therapeutic relationship with homework.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying there is very talented people out there that can assign homework and maintain the therapeutic relationship.
Oh, yeah.
I know there are. I just know that it's dicey. And I trained therapists all of my life. So did Phil.
I trained lots. Yeah.
We have lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of students.
Right.
So that's why we're being so careful. And now, but really this mindfulness thing, this walking mindfulness, this active mindfulness is very important. At the end of the day, it's very important.
Key.
You would like to see folks pick it up. So what we're setting up with the matrix is that it happens organically.
Right.
People like that word, right? Organically.
Yeah. It's healthy, good for
you. You plant the seed,
right?
And they're walking around in life and poof.
Up pops mindfulness.
Pops mindfulness, right. And that's what you're going for. And I can tell you from my own experience, that's very helpful.
And the people that I have worked with over the years say the same thing. This is helpful.
That is very helpful. So I was going around,
Doing
and
life.
suddenly I was noticing, and here we go. I was noticing my five senses. I was noticing this. I was noticing that. They popped up into that active mindful state.
Step back.
And but I mean, it's almost by definition, folks. It has to happen organically.
Yes.
It's got to pop up.
You have to give it space to show up.
Yeah, because once you get into that, well, I'm going to schedule it to show up.
I'm going to sit down right now and do 10 minutes of mindfulness.
Or, yeah, it doesn't work well that way.
No.
And I know people really want it to work well that way.
Oh, I would raise my hand to that at one point.
Oh, man. I took my first graduate level mindfulness / meditation class in probably 82. That long ago, Phil. And I've been playing around it and practicing it and this and that and the other ever since.
Yeah. Oh, no, I took a mindfulness training in high school.
Good Lord, you beat me.
Yeah.
I was
a long time ago.
I was still too numb in high school.
I thought it was pretty cool.
But whatever, in the end of the day, you're not going to get a whole lot of people doing mindfulness.
No.
They're not going to schedule it. They're not going to do it. They're going to do it just as well as we all do exercise.
All the other things in life that you say you're going to get around to.
That, unless it's eating and drinking.
Yeah.
And sleeping.
Eating and drinking and trying to make a living, that's, those kind of things.
Stuff that you're really driven to do. That's the mindfulness and the exercise and all that.
Yep.
So back to it. So that's why, but this active mindfulness is, in a word, I guess we should say noticing.
Well, that's kind of what we're building up to.
That's it. That's really it.
Active mindfulness equals
noticing.
That's it.
And we're not the only people to do this. We're not.
No, we haven't cornered the market on it.
Lots and lots of folks talk about noticing.
Yeah.
We just have the matrix, and the noticing is notice your five senses. Notice what your mind's up to. Notice what the function of your current behavior is. Meaning, am I going for relief or am I going for satisfaction?
Where am I heading?
And if you say, gee, I'm not quite sure, that's fine.
Just go
about your business.
Noticing you're not sure. Fine.
Right. You were still noticing.
Yeah.
The noticing was accomplished, though.
That's all we're going for.
So that's what we're talking about. Or who's important to me, Or no, there's some yucky stuff showing up. Yep, no, I'm noticing that yucky stuff showing up. All of those kind of things are happening on the fly.
Yeah.
You're mowing the lawn or working on paperwork.
Yeah. This is how we live our lives, just like that.
Right.
On the fly.
You're driving.
Yeah.
So that's so in large part the matrix was developed for active mindfulness. And that's funny because a lot of people think that you need to sit down and carefully fill it all out.
Yeah. Make sure all the quadrants are all filled.
Make sure all the quadrants are filled up and all of that. I'm not saying that's not an okay thing to do, but at the end of the day, you want it to show up.
It's about helping people to notice.
And once they do, they'll come back and they'll start talking about what.
And they'll tell you what they noticed. They tell us what they noticed.
Right. And then you're accomplishing the original name of ACT, which is comprehensive distance, which is that 10, 20, 30,000 foot view from the self. There's me, the vesicle that is called me, and it's collecting up all kinds of content. Self as content. So it's collecting it all up. all these experiences. But the original me, the one that was born, that stays the same.
So James says, do you find yourself starting in the lower right at the beginning of a session or intake, or have you made it more client-led even at the beginning? I've noticed myself getting languagey sometimes with explaining the quadrants.
I don't explain them.
There's no explaining. No, we don't explain. Nope.
I do start in the lower right,
Yep.
but I don't explain. And James, that's just practice.
Yeah.
I mean, the human urge to explain is powerful. It's just powerful. It just is.
Powerful and relentless.
And the thing is, well, sometimes it's very necessary to.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying that. But in the case of the Matrix, you're showing it to them. And I guess that's the words that we learned some years ago. That I'm going to show it to them. So showing something, and notice we're not saying show and tell. We're saying show. That's it. That's all we're saying. Show it to them. Like, here it is.
Yep.
Here's
the diagram I use.
There it is right there.
We're going to start down here.
And we're not telling. We're not explaining.
Yeah.
Very, very careful to say. Basically say, who's important to you? And that goes down here.
Boom.
If they said, what do you mean? Well, the way I circumvent that, and Phil and I both, we figured it out, we'd say, important people go lower right. For example, my wife is important to me. I put her in the lower right. With that example,
right,
99% of all people, boom, they'll give you support.
This is the beginning of the act of mindfulness too, because you could almost say, I am noticing right now that my wife is important to me. Now, we don't say it all that long way. We just say, hey, my wife's important to me.
And then we give an example for the yucky. So yucky stuff shows up. For example, fear. Boom.
Exasperation.
Now, or exasperation, right. Relief moves. You might run to get away from something that was frightening you. Boom. Upper right. I might go talk to my wife.
Yeah.
We give an example in each quadrant, and that takes care of all the explaining.
You've done it.
The example is a bit like a picture. It's worth 1,000 words.
A portrait.
Right. and that, so minimal language. If I hear myself talking, I know that I'm in trouble.
Active mindfulness, noticing myself talking too much.
Folks, as I'm speaking to you now, I am monitoring what I say. There's no doubt about it. I'm a public speaker since I was 14 or something. It's a long time.
You are out in public, Kevin. I think you've been a public speaker.
What's that?
Since you've been out in public, you've been a public speaker.
But I mean, I started getting on stage and doing speeches and acts and stuff. I was a little guy. And now at first you don't, but along the way you pick up the knack of speaking clearly enough and concisely enough that you're literally monitoring what's coming out.
Yep.
And so if I notice myself doing a bunch of explaining, I shut up. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I just do. I stop doing stuff.
Yes, there you go. Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. Do the.
Got it. Yep. It's really good to be mindful. Yep.
All right. There's time for telling stories and yapping along, and I do it as, even like now, yapping.
Oh, yeah.
But then there's time for just showing something. But Phil is a black belt. I got to a brown belt in martial art. And I was appalled many times by classes I went to, and I would stand there for 40 minutes, literally stand there in a gi, listening to somebody talk.
Right.
This
Not good.
is not good.
And I had the benefit of an old school Japanese sensei all the way from Kyoto who came to this country and formed a dojo. He spoke very little Japanese. So the whole class was he
You
was
mean very little English. He probably spoke a
I
lot
mean,
of
not very little English, I'm sorry.
Right.
The whole class, he would come to the front of all of us. He'd show the technique a few times, and then we would get up and practice.
And then that's what you need to do, by the way, in martial arts. I don't
That's
care.
it.
I don't care what language they speak.
Yep.
They need to show you by example and then have you practice.
Yep.
That's it. Well, it's the same with the Matrix.
That's how you learn.
It's the same, is that you show the minimal and then have them practice. Which, if Phil and I do a presentation, folks, we run. Well, we do one loop. We
do this. Do a loop.
One loop around with the people there. Then we say, okay, now turn to your neighbor and show them this. And you don't have to do it from memory. It's right up here on my whiteboard.
Leave it up on the board.
Throw it up. And so we give them a whiteboard or a
piece of paper or whatever,
or something to write, and they literally show it to each other. Okay, that's what we just said. You show somebody the technique, and then you say, now you do it.
Yep. Very cool.
And it's very cool. Oh my gosh, folks, if you ever get a chance to do that in your life, do it.
Oh yeah,
it is a very rewarding.
You will be amazed.
Really, I mean, it's almost probably at first it was jaw dropping.
Yeah, you just kind of step back and go, "Wow,
wow!" It's a wow to see people do it and how quickly they'll do it and how quickly they'll get excited about doing it.
Oh, very engaged, leaning in. Having a good time.
Yeah, it's just amazing. So maybe they're doing active mindfulness even while they're doing that.
I would like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good. But the point is, folks, is now that you've got it on, and now they have this pop-up, the noticing pop-up is what it is.
Yeah.
This pops up, and it's organic, and they'll say the language, you'll hear it in the language. Well, I noticed myself, whatever it was after the notice,
yep.
that notice showed that distance, and I was noticing myself in context. And that's what they were doing. And that's mindful.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's active. That's active.
Simple. It's that simple.
Yep. It's that simple. And it's, since I developed the Matrix and worked with Phil and got really, sort of really honed it down, that's not that hard to get somebody to get doing. And when I say it like that, it sounds like I'm, trying to force it. I'm not. I'm just showing it to them, and there you go. And they just pick it up on their own.
They pick it up and they want to use it. They immediately want to use it.
Right. Oh my, this is useful.
Yeah. I could use it for this. I could use it for that.
And then it pops up. And then it starts to pop up. And that's it. So active mindfulness is pop-up noticing.
Oh, I love it. Pop-up noticing.
And so that's what you're going for, folks. And it needs to be the pop-up noticing, because other than that, you could get into the trap of assigning homework.
Yeah. And that's going to squash the mindfulness. Yeah.
I'm not saying it can't be done. I know it can be done.
I know people that can do it.
I know, yeah. But I don't.
We don't. From this point of view, the way that we work, we don't do it that way. We have not found it to be necessary or useful to do it that way.
Oh no, actually, we used to do that fancy You can do mindfulness or not mindfulness, either way it works, that kind of thing.
Right.
Then we just gave it out.
There's no reason to add that.
No, because they were showing up anyway.
They were there.
They would show back essentially reporting pop-up mindfulness.
Yes.
So really in ACT, it's working when the folks are coming back to you they're reporting noticing. But what they're, from our language we're using today, they're doing active mindfulness, pop-up noticing, pop-up mindfulness. That's what it is. That's when it works. Because other than that, they won't want to do it.
Yeah. No, they're not going to. They don't balk at it. They don't kind of roll their eyeballs about it.
Phil and I were one time we got to be bad together.
Yeah, that was.
They were sitting in the back of the room, and they had the keynote. The big person.
Oh yeah, heavy hitter.
Room full of people. So we're sitting at the back playing with our pencils.
Yeah.
I like to say I got a PhD sitting in the back of the room. Anyway, we weren't playing with our pencils. We were watching.
Yeah.
This person, of course, leads off with a mindfulness exercise. So Phil and I are watching.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, let's go. The number of phones that came out was astounding.
Oh, yeah. Well, I looked to the right, I looked to the left, I looked in front of me. I'm like, ooh, this is an interesting phenomenon going on here.
And I counted, folks. I was doing a field research.
Yeah, I wasn't going after
anthropological research, right? And I was counting, and it was less than 50% of the people.
Oh, man.
I would say 40, but still, not even 50% of the people engaged in it. And that was at an ACT conference with the keynote speaker.
Yeah. That people had come to hear.
And by the way, I don't think the keynote speaker was noticing.
Nah, not really.
And that's the other thing. We don't like to lose our audience that way.
Yeah.
If you do it, you show people the matrix, and then you have them show it to each other. You got 100% engagement.
Yep.
It's just 100%. Every time. They're all in. They're all doing.
Yeah. They're actively mindful.
Absolutely. And they'll come back and tell you about it. I'll tell you this story of so a guy I was in the VA for years, and there was probably the largest, tallest man that I ever had in the treatment. And his name was literally John. So Big John, And so I hadn't seen him in months. I'm walking down the hallway in the VA, and here comes John. And and I'm all but 6 foot. I mean, he's towering over me. It's like, what's that joke? How's the weather up there?
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, John, how's it going? And he pauses, and he looks down at me, and he says, just noticing. Walks down the hall. Active mindfulness.
Walking meditation.
They gave me my own medicine. Just noticing.
That's the best when they give you your own medicine, when they go back at you.
That was fun. But anyways, yeah, so you get that. That's what you're going for. But at the same time, folks, while you may be listening for that, what they're looking for is the therapeutic relationship. Now, that doesn't mean you've got to be seeing them years and years and years. You can develop a strong therapeutic relationship in just a session or 2 or 3. Yeah. Works just fine that way. But
quite thankful, and they find it very helpful, and they're ready to, okay, I think I got this, and off they go.
Off they go. That's it. So that's the idea, folks. So just so when you go to conferences or you're reading books about people sitting around and chewing on grapes or raisins or whatever, and, examining their navels or that stuff. That is not what Steve Hayes and company had in mind. That's not. No, it's active, active movement, and it's noticing. And a great way to get it going is the matrix. It was developed for that. So do that, and then just basically you're joining together to move toward who and what's important to both of you.
And you can be actively, mindfully noticing all of that.
Yeah, that's something I do
all the time.
That's something that people that I work with do. So we're all cool working together.
They like the collaboration.
It's a very collaborative model. So.
They'll even say that. You'll even, this is really collaborative.
Yeah, I've heard it many times.
Say, they kind of give me homework or they tell me things that I can do. And I like this because you don't do any of that stuff.
No, we learned not to.
Yeah, and that's what I say. I used to. I don't do that anymore.
And folks, that's the thing. It wasn't that we thought of it and then implemented it. No, we just learned not to do that.
Yeah, we mindfully experienced what to do and what not to do. It's really what it came down to.
So this works really well. You get people going really well.
Yeah.
So it is active mindfulness. So that's how you do it. So what the matrix or no matrix, if you're having people, you say, well, you can pause while you're going and notice your five senses. Boom, you're in.
That's it.
Or who's important to you. Those are the two that I do.
Yeah.
Other people might
do
something else.
Those are the two biggies to be noticing.
Yeah, and it's, as I said, just going around, just notice your five senses. That's okay. It's when I get exasperated. I get lost. I get in the weeds. I'm like everybody else. You sort of get beside yourself.
You're talking about weeds. I was literally in the weeds the other day when disc golfing. My son and I go disc golfing, and you go out there on a nice day. The wind's at your back, and the first disc I throw ends up where? In the weeds.
Oh, right. So you're in the weeds.
Now exasperation is showing up because now I have to go tromping through the weeds in search of my disc. But then, just like we're talking about, I remember, well, I'm here with my son. It's a nice day. We're in the woods. There you go.
And boom, you're on.
And I'm back in it.
Right. So I'm always building little things. Right now I'm building bee boxes, little nuke boxes. Because I want a bunch for next year. In case you want to know, folks, I do want a bunch for next year. So I'm building them. Well, stuff happens. And you want to get like pissed off about it or do something. Yeah. And then you remember, oh yeah. Notice five senses, notice that. And I don't know, you end up going slower and not making as many mistakes anyway. So it works out. It's a good way, it is a good way to do it. So we wanted to return back, and we'll have to return back to this a lot because people don't get the active mindfulness.
They lose it very quickly.
The pop-up.
Unless you're able to do pop-up noticing, you lose it very quickly.
Yeah. And don't worry about picking it up. Just do the matrix a bunch.
It will show up.
And there's the famous words. Just do the matrix. Just do that. It'll work out for you. And by all means, folks, click on the course and take it.
Us out a little bit.
Helps us out. Of course, we know that it's really not CE season.
Right.
We fully realize that. If you're doing it for, banking CEs for next
down the road.
down the road, right?
They're going to be there when you need them. Is kind of
Right.
our
But we're not taking them away, so they'll be there when you get closer to your licensing deadline.
right, like all of us. When you notice that the deadline is approaching,
Do like I do and do them all, because it's online. I mean,
right?
some of them you have to do in person, but everything else left over is online, and I do them all in less than a day.
Yep.
So I can procrastinate with the best of them, especially when I know that I can make it up. I can pull it out.
Yep.
You don't get a PhD without knowing how to. That's all there is to it. Okay, well, we did a good job, I think.
I think we did.
I don't know. Who knows? I'm going to go. I don't know. It's too hot. It's hot here. I guess
It's really getting very hot here, even hotter the next couple of days.
Yeah, so I'm probably not going to go outside. I'll just play around inside.
There you go.
Everybody else, have a great one.
Yeah, really.
And maybe something will pop up. Pop up mindfulness.
Who do you never know?
Okay. We'll sign off.
See ya.